Gobind Singh Ape Gochella. My name is just Mannat Singh, and I will be talking about the book We Are Not Symbols. The book We Are Not Symbols is a conversation in between a father and son pertaining to the significance of the five kakars. The most important thing that inspired the young Sikh boy Jaskirat Singh to take Khande Deepal and become a Khalsa of Guru Gobind Singh Ji was the heartfelt letter that his father had written to him. Jaskirat Singh said that if you can show me the significance of these symbols, I will go to Shri Anandpur Sahib and become a Khalsa of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. In response, his father stated, the five kakars were a gift of love from Guru Gobind Singh Ji, that you would be ignorant and closed-minded not to consider and understand. The kashada that you may wear today is the very same kind of kashada that Guru Gobind Singh Ji wore himself, so we are one with Guru Ji whenever we wear it. The kanga represents a discipline of the Sikh mind, reminding the Sikh not to let their thoughts wander aimlessly around, keeping the thoughts within the mind of a Sikh well-disciplined, methodical, and orderly. The kirpan represents the Sikh cutting away at the roots of evil and worldly attachment, thus getting rid of them and freeing the Sikh. Nowadays, the kada is a symbol of humility and pride for the Khalsa. The kada depicts the endless cycle of death and rebirth in life, making the human soul just as strong as steel, just as the kada did, being molded in the fire of life. A Sikh is one with their caste, so they cannot be whole without it. The need of practical animal utility in everything breeds a fear of living. Jaskirat Singh was bathed in the harmony, melody, and fragrance of a new dawn. After reading his father's letter and understanding that not everything in life needed to serve a practical purpose, the five kakars were a gift from a guru who wanted nothing but good for the Khalsa. In the letter from his loving father that inspired Jaskirat Singh to take Khande Deepal and become a Khalsa of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the significance of the five kakars to the Khalsa is clearly explained in order to demonstrate that without them, the Khalsa is not complete. Sardar Harcharan Singh had many convincing answers to questions posed by modern-day Sikh youth. The five kakars are physical representations of the traits that make us human and need to use in everyday life. Without these reminders of organization in our lives, we would lose control of ourselves and our identity. Also, Harcharan Singh stated that we shouldn't discard the five kakars for more modern and effective versions, just as his son Jaskirat suggested. Lastly, and certainly not least, Harcharan Singh explained the reasons why Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave us the five kakars in the first place. Guru Gobind Singh Ji bestowed the kirpan upon us for the purpose of righteousness and self-defense as a last resort. The kashada to remind the beholder of self-control and restraint from kam or lust. The kanga to remind us to keep our minds organized. The kada to show the infinite influence of Waheguru, and our gaze to remind us of our bravery and courage in difficult situations. These are just a few of the very convincing arguments that Harcharan Singh posed in his letter as a response to the letter that his son Jaskirat sent to him, to show that the five kakars have a timeless representation of who a Sikh is and always should be, even in modern times. Sardar Harcharan Singh explained to his son how Guru Gobind Singh Ji's family was killed for the Khalsa because they refused to separate with the five kakars. If they were merely symbols, they would not have sacrificed their lives. The Shorte Sahibzade were murdered in a way unparalleled in the long annals of human history, getting bricked alive in a wall because they refused to bow before people that had malicious intents. Sardar Harcharan Singh construed a man named Taru Singh refusing to give up Sikhism and become a Muslim in exchange for vast riches. Taru Singh refused to cut off his hair even when he would have gained so much otherwise. Because of his unwillingness to cut off his hair, Bhai Taru Singh's head was chopped off. If Bhai Taru Singh only thought of his caste as a symbol, he would have taken the wealth that was offered to him, rather than allowing his head to be chopped off. With symbols, they are recyclable, and the qualities they represent are eternal. But the five kakars are the very embodiments of these qualities and are deeper than symbols. If they are perceived as separate symbols, then their deeper meaning will elude that person. They together are as an entity, and for example, the case of a Sikh is meant to be an extension of his or her body. The five kakars are gifts of love from Guru Gobind Singh Ji that every Sikh should treasure. Also, the five kakars are not just symbols, but articles of faith that collectively form the external identity in the Khalsa devotee's commitment to the Sikh Rani, or Sikh way of life. In order to guarantee that we save the lessons we have learned here today for a long time, we need to think about how these values apply to our lives even today. If every person in this room leaves and thinks about what I have said here today, I can guarantee that it will benefit each and every one of you. I certainly know that it has benefited me. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.